Hello, I am Misty Winkler from Simply Convivial, a website, podcast, and YouTube channel for women who want to be equipped and engaged in the work that they are doing at home, who know that it matters, and who want to do it well. I'm also a part of the podcast Scholé Sisters, a podcast for the classical homeschool mom who wants to learn and grow while she's helping her children learn and grow. So I call this my Scholé spot because Scholé is about pushing the pause button on work mode, on go, go, go mode, in order to contemplate big ideas and learn. The second most important kind of Scholé is reading books. The first is worshiping God. But second, we have to be reading books to feed our minds so that we can bring our whole selves to our callings that God has given us. So today I wanted to share with you the first book that I finished in 2020, The Forgotten Trinity by James White. I hadn't read any James White before at all, and this was a 5-hour book on Audible. And although I do usually read one systematic theology a year, I haven't read anything specifically on the Trinity. It seemed like a great book to have as my first start and finish for the year. I was glad I had already read Matthew Barrett's None Greater on the attributes of God, because some of those words that he expands and defines, James White just uses in his discussion of the Trinity. So I felt like having read that book first helped me bring a better understanding to this book. But this book was certainly written for the layperson. It is not an academic, scholarly work. And one thing that intrigued me about this title was how much of the time he used to actually defend and explain not the Trinity overall per se, but specifically the deity of Christ, even more than the humanity of Christ. He spent the bulk of the book actually explaining and defending from Scripture with some very careful parsing of Scripture that Christ is indeed fully God. And I wasn't really expecting that. But he also includes a section on why it's important that we do have this doctrine, even though the word isn't found in Scripture, and a section on church history proving that this is not a concept that was developed later, but that all the early church fathers, but one that was clearly understood very early on, before the councils that codified it. So if you want a theology book for the year on basic orthodoxy that's approachable and important, then I do recommend The Forgotten Trinity by James White.